What's up, everybody, and welcome back to episode 9 of the Cooldown Podcast. Today, we are talking about dreams. And not just like your goals and aspirations, but like the thing that happens when you go to sleep at night. But before we go in, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, College Versus. It's a new social media app. Go and check it down. Go explore the app. The link will be down in the description below. But now, get into the topic. Dreams. I don't remember most of my dreams, which is kind of sad. I don't know about you guys. Do you guys remember your dreams?
Yeah, you know, a lot of people actually say that. A lot of people say that when either they go to bed, they don't remember it at all, or they barely remember it. I think my experience is that I kind of feeling like that. Like, it's very blurry.
I you remember that you had one, but you don't quite remember what it was about.
Well, I think Inception said it best. Like when you start the dream, but you don't know like how you got to. You never like dream about like the thing how you get to that point of where your dream starts. And I never remember that. I'm just there, and then I have a goal, I have a motive, and I'm going through the motions, and I'm never like confused about my motive, even if
it's never a process. It just you just show up.
Oh, when you're in the
yeah, when you're in the dream, and you just kind of accept it, and you're going along with the motions.
Yeah. Do you think there's got to be like some sort of scientific data on this? But like, do you think that some people that are like, oh, I don't have dreams when I sleep, do you think that those people are having dreams, but they just don't remember any of them? No, like they don't even remember them happening?
Yeah, your brain. I'm like 98% sure this is true. That they're actually everyone does dream. You might not dream your entire night, but it's part of the cycle where you do dream. And again,
like deep sleep, your brain automatically does it.
It's more of brain activity because it's not necessarily a dream where you're making the story, but that they do have the same brain activity. That is, I'm almost certain, a proven fact.
Yes, you're pretty close. The thing is that you experience dreams during what they assumed. This is what the studies are. That you experience dreams during REM sleep, so rapid eye movement. The rapid eye movement phase of your sleeping is because when you're experiencing the most brain activity, but you're actually getting your highest quality of sleep during that point in time as well. So you want to achieve that. And so the people who quote unquote don't dream don't enter REM. And that's the issue. And even people who enter REM, if you sleep for too long, you might enter REM and then exit REM. Yeah. And then now you've woken up in a state beyond REM, and you're not going to remember the dreams that were that far back into the night because your brain's not as connected. So the closer you are to waking up during REM, the more likely you'll remember your dreams.
Do you want to wake up during REM? Isn't there like one stage where you don't want to wake up in?
You don't want to wake up during REM. You want to wake up at the end of REM.
Okay. As that cycle goes through. Okay.
I think I can't be 100% certain that all phases are 2 hours, but I know that REM is about 2 hours. So once
I thought it was shorter.
No, it's about 2 hours. So when you
I thought like a standard sleep cycle was an hour and a half.
Yeah, I thought they were 30-minute cycles.
The standard sleep cycle is I think 4 hours.
Really?
I thought it was an hour and a half, and I thought it was 3 30-minute cycles. Which is why like power naps, if you do a certain amount, wasn't a bad idea.
You like benefit from 30 minutes. Yeah. But if you go to an hour, then that's too much.
There's
or
like
something.
that where if you're gonna nap at the desk or you're gonna nap like in the library, like make it quick, and then I think
what do we got right?
And I think that's the weird thing is
okay. Well, so it looks like that REM happens after 90 minutes after you fall asleep.
Interesting.
Okay. And there are multiple stages of REM. So the first period of REM typically lasts 10 minutes. And then later REM stages get longer, and the final one lasts up to an hour. So that's the way that it works. Okay. So throughout the night you will probably experience a grand total of 2 hours of REM, is what it's saying.
Gotcha. But that one cycle isn't 2 hours itself.
Not 2 hours.
Gotcha.
Right.
That makes sense.
But I do know I was gonna say, based off of what you guys were saying though about like the nap period, there was a study done by NASA that found the optimal amount of time to sleep for a nap is like 26 minutes or something like that. But that has nothing to do with entering REM sleep. That's actually preventing yourself from getting into like deeper stages of sleep. So when you get out of it, you're
not drowsy.
You're not drowsy.
Yeah. I think the issue for me with that is I can't like plan to take a 20 or 30 minute nap because it'll take me 10 or 15 minutes to actually fall asleep.
Yeah.
if
So
I'm taking a
you
nap.
can't set an, like for me, I can't set an alarm unless I'm planning to wake up in 4 hours. Like I can't do it under 2 hours. It just won't work for me.
I can do, I think an hour is like the shortest I can do, maybe like 45 minutes.
Napping, I heard, is pretty beneficial, but I rarely nap. I
I used to a lot in college, but I don't need more.
I never really nap. The thing with napping is they used to nap, like long, like centuries ago, because they would sleep. It was more of just for production. They would sleep when it was dark, and then they would sleep when it was the hottest. So they would kind of take 2 shorter naps because it's only really dark in some parts of the world. Obviously, some parts it gets dark for 12 hours, but it's only really dark for about 5 or 6 hours where you really can't work. So they would sleep then, and then usually about 2 or 3 hours during the day.
The siesta.
True. We're bringing all these words in.
Yeah.
So I think like napping is the same as, I mean, think about babies. You kind of train them to nap at a certain time. The world we live in is not accustomed to napping. So we've trained our bodies to just sleep 8 hours at once rather than, 6 and 2 or, 5 and 3. And
this actually, Ryan, you want to talk about what we were talking about the other day?
Yeah. So this is actually kind of relevant to something that we were saying, which was finding the optimal like sleep cycle for productivity and also rest.
Yeah, like if you didn't have any obligations to like interact with people at work, what would be for just your own personal productivity? What would be the best situation?
While also still being able to get enough sleep.
You're not beating yourself. You're healthy. You're still healthy.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a theory that what would work, it would be a 32-hour sleep cycle. I mean a day cycle. So we work in a 24-hour day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where we're awake for 16 hours and we sleep for 8. In an ideal situation, that's what they want.
That's the typical day. Yeah.
That's a typical day. So 16 hours awake, 8 hours of sleep. Now, if you extend it to a 32-hour cycle, then you could stay awake for 24 hours and still get 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Now, if you do that throughout an entire week, you lose 14 hours of sleeping, but you gain so much more hours of actual productive. You gain that 14 hours back in work that you're able to do, and you're still getting 8 hours of sleep every single cycle throughout that thing. So I was thinking that being awake for longer, you have the momentum of staying awake and getting that stuff done. Yeah. And then if you know that you're going to be able to, if you know that you're staying up for 24 hours straight, the chance of you being tired by the time that you actually have to go to bed is a lot higher than the chance of you getting tired during the 16-hour cycle. The 24-hour cycle. So I find myself in the 24-hour system staying up later than I need to and then sleeping less than I should. But this would be a case where I'm staying up and I'm supposed to be staying up and I continue to stay up and I push to 24 hours. And then at that point in time, I'm tired and I sleep for 8 hours. The only issue with this is that if you introduce people into this situation, or obviously like
the sun,
conditions outside, you're going to be falling asleep and waking up at different points in like the actual day of the earth. But you're also going to be interacting with people at different points in the day if you were to interact with them. And so they'd have to be on your schedule, not you be on their schedule anymore.
And would that be the healthiest way though? Like I don't think humans, I think we do need 8 hours. I don't think it needs to be in the 16-8 cycle. I think it can be broken up. But,
split up, yeah.
Yeah, but do you think adding 8 more hours of being awake and your body functioning at a higher level, those 8 hours, maybe not over a week, but you could do it over 5 years, your body's actually repairing and recovering? Because if you think about it, because you're also, if you're healthy, you should be continuing working out, you should be continuing all of those things, which diet has a huge benefit to, but also rest. Like that is a key to it.
No.
I think that's where I don't think long term, I think in a maybe if you were able to just like instantly boom, you can do that cycle, that would probably work great for a few months for like if you're working on a major project or something.
Yeah.
But I think once it extends, it's probably not healthy. I feel like your body just wouldn't recover.
Well, I wonder that too. Except for then, I think about a lot of people like you talk about people who, let's say, use Arnold Schwarzenegger, or you use a lot of these motivational people who say they don't get a lot of sleep. You know what I mean? Like I never never sleep. I never do this. Now that's not good. I don't condone not sleep. You should sleep.
Also, that's what they say. We don't really know. Because that's
True.
like a big thing.
People
You gotta grind. You know, like that's not.
But I would say that from talking with a lot of people, most people's averages hover around 6 hours a night. Like that's like what they would hover around. Now that isn't as good as sleeping 8 hours. I mean, what they've shown is that 8 hours is our optimal sleep cycle. I mean, we get an optimal amount of time to sleep for continuous sleep.
Yep.
So that being said, if you're breaking that up and you only go into 6 hours of sleep, you're not getting the highest quality of sleep that you can get. This would then allow you to experience that every time you go to sleep if you were to be awake for 24 hours before that.
So you think 2 hours of sleep equals those extra 8 hours?
Well, because if you do the math, 6 hours a night for a whole week versus 8 hours every 32 hours, like 8 hours of sleep and all that 32 hours adds up to the same amount.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it adds up to the same amount of sleep.
Yeah, but my thought is recovering from 16 hours is different than recovering from 24 hours.
But also, say you are working out one time every sleep cycle, you're now working out 5 times a week instead of 7 times a week.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, that's healthy. Yeah, working out 5 times a week, that's still fine, but I don't know, it's a weird thought.
But maybe,
It's a weird thought. And I actually would say that, that idea, the introduction of a different day cycle is really the novelty of that. Yeah. The actual adding on 8 hours might not be the optimal number. I mean, I haven't done any solid research to actually come up with that number.
Yeah, it's just
like a good number to start. But I think that concept is something that should be explored more.
I don't think that concept will obviously ever take.
It's not practical.
Yeah, in the world we live in. But my thought is, do astronauts use different cycles? Because I don't know. Because they can control their conditions. So can they? Yeah. Do they use different cycles?
That is a good point. I don't know. I don't know if they actually.
That's what I thought you got the idea from. That astronauts might use 30 hours or 32 hours. I thought 30, and you tried to push it to 32 to make it 888. Because that makes sense to me. It's a controlled environment. Obviously, they are very far removed from the typical lifestyle that we are accustomed to.
Yeah, and they're always subject to seeing the sun, so I'm sure they have to have I don't know, maybe they wear a sleep mask or something. Yeah, and they probably a very uncomfortable environment to sleep in.
Yeah, but
when you're weightless,
they probably control when they I'm assuming spaceships have windows they can open up to allow. Because you want to be able to see the outside, so they probably control how often they view the outside world or universe.
Yeah, filtering the windows.
Yeah, so that's that's a weird thought. I feel like astronauts would.
So I just looked it up too, and it says that NASA recommends the astronauts sleep 8 hours or at least 6 hours every day on orbit. So they're orbiting, let's say they're on the International Space Station, they're following a regular day.
Okay.
Which to me, I think that's really interesting. Maybe they have explored it. Maybe they've explored that idea. But
I'm going to assume there's a reason why everyone says do 8 and 16, Obviously, it is simple, but...
Yeah.
But that's subject to the sun being up and all that type of stuff.
Well, NASA did it. They're probably, they're obviously going to want to get as much bang for their buck because every mission they do is millions and millions of dollars. So
I just wonder because there's obviously like anything, there's a hole in the research somewhere. You know what I mean? There always is. And I wonder, is this a hole? Is this somewhere that you could explore and maybe find something that people haven't even tried? Maybe. Maybe not. It'd be cool to see some sleep research and what people do in that domain, but as of right now, I don't know. And I think it's a cool concept to play with, but maybe it has no merit,
Yeah.
So
you can go.
You go, Jeremy.
Okay.
I was gonna completely go a different direction.
Mine's one last thought about this. As real quick answer from both of you guys, do you think adding the extra 8 hours would then change your REM cycle? Because you are the time it takes to get in, how long it lasts, or how long it takes to get out, because you are now totally adjusting what the standard human is meant to do, kind of,
I want to say no.
Yeah, I think I would go with no too.
I don't think that REM cycle is dependent on how long you were awake before going into sleep. because I think it's shutting down the same mechanisms either way. But then again, if you think about it, like if I had my computer on and I turned my computer off after it being on for an hour, versus if I turn my computer off after it's been on for like 4 days, it doesn't turn off faster if I've only turned it on for an hour versus if I've turned it on for 4 days. I don't think so. I think it's the same amount of time, right?
Depends how much stuff you have open, but yeah.
Have, like, programs running, and that was my thought. Like, if you have so much brain activity, because you are the goal is to cram more in essentially and be more productive. I wonder if that would impact, or maybe if you get tired but fight through the tiredness, does that impact how you sleep? I don't know. I don't know that.
Wow, you bring up something interesting here that also bridges into the main conversation, which is recently I've been doing. I obviously, like, for my research and stuff like that, I have to think pretty deeply about like what I need to do, because I need to come up with something that's novel or new and stuff like that. And a lot of times I'm proposed with like very challenging problems. And throughout the day, there are days that I have where I'm thinking and thinking and thinking, and I'm thinking so hard, like just thinking myself into a fit sometimes. And I get in bed and my brain is like, it's almost like I took it and I spun it like really fast, and it's just like not slowing down. And it takes me, even if I'm tired, like I've gone to bed and I've laid in bed at like 1 o'clock, ready for bed, to go to whatever, and I won't be able to get to bed till like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, just because I can't shut down my brain. I just can't shut down my brain. And it affects my dreams, to get back, it affects my dreams, because when I actually do fall asleep, my dreams are just ridiculous. Like they're just like they're either completely about the research that I was just thinking about when I went to bed, or they're just this like
wild.
I actually feel like it's like I'm in some sort of like ball just rolling around really fast, and I'm getting really dizzy. That's like the two different approaches it takes.
Yeah, so I feel like there could be a couple things contributing to that, where I've noticed at least that if I'm in like a different environment than I'm used to sleeping in, like last night I slept at my roommate's house, like in his hometown, and that's a different environment than I'm used to sleeping in. I was sleeping on the couch. So I feel like when that's the case, even when I go home, since I'm not used to sleeping in my like attic in New York,
different blankets, different mattress.
Yeah, everything is different. I'm just like slightly less comfortable. I feel like I'm more apt to have like really kind of crazy, vivid dreams in those situations. But maybe it could be a combination of like the stress to your brain and your body is contributing to changing that REM cycle, or if you're feeling more stressed, like Ryan would be if he's been working on a lot of research, or like I would be when I'm sleeping somewhere that I'm not used to. Maybe it's that your body is more likely to wake you up in the middle of that cycle, and you're more likely to remember those dreams.
That's fair. That's
true. I mean, it also would be that because you're in an uncommon environment, or I'm, let's say, very much in my brain, a lot of brain activity is still there. So when you're entering the sleep, then it's just more like adept to entering into maybe like longer REM cycles. Maybe that is actually effective.
Yeah, that's definitely possible.
Yeah.
All right, kind of take us away to that. Oh, you about to add to that?
Yeah. I'm sure this will kind of spiral into a separate topic, but one of the craziest dreams that I can remember having, at least, we were at a NASCAR race and we were camping in the parking lot, which is just something that my friends do, just like some of my friends from up here in Boston, something that they've done a couple years in a row. I went one year, and it was the type of thing where they like have some drinks during the day. They go see some NASCAR. You're like kind of sweating all day. It's really loud. All of this like external stress is coming in at you. And then at night, you're just massively uncomfortable. You're either in a very warm tent, or I was sleeping in the driver's seat of my friend's car. but that night was, I think, the first time that I had a like more extended lucid dream. So I forget what the exact situation was now, but I think it was something to the effect of like, if I ran at the right speed, then I could fly, which is like a very common lucid dream thing that you want to do. And then after maybe a minute or two dream time of that happening, like it collapses and you kind of lose it. You can't control it anymore. But maybe it's just like the fact that you're in this stressful environment that because REM sleep isn't the deepest sleep, you're still maintaining the most brain activity. It's kind of, since your body's under stress, it's preventing you from getting deep sleep, but maybe keeping you, longer in that REM cycle. So your brain is already, because you can't go into deep sleep, more active, giving you more dreams and things like that.
Right.
Okay. Connor, give us a 10-second rundown of what lucid dreams are.
So I'm sure Ryan could give a better description than me, but in effect, it's when you recognize that you're in a dream, and because of that, you can kind of control the as if you're playing a video game, but you're like actually experiencing all these things because the experience is just like the brain signals all happening at the same time. But yeah, you can in effect control your dreams, and at some point after you realize you're in a dream, it kind of collapses and you wake up. But it's a pretty cool experience. I've only done it like a couple times.
Yeah, I think
Ryan, I'm sure you have more to say about that.
It's pretty difficult to get yourself into that. I know there's a lot of.
I've only done it accidentally.
Yeah. I remember we tried to do it many years ago. We all talked about trying to do it. I don't know if I ever got. I know I have done it a few times. But yeah, normally when I go to bed, I'm just tired, so I just sleep. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I'd say that any experience that I would say that I lucid dreamed was very like lucid dreaming. Like I was like,
like you can kind of push it in a direction.
Yeah, I can control the story in some way, but there was not much about
it's not
my
like
environment.
full control.
Where you're creating the environment. You're like, all right, I'm here. Oh wait, I'm gonna do this. Like you already got plopped in the story.
Where I do know that people, unless they're completely lying to me, I can't, say people are telling the truth. But based off of what people have told me about their experiences with lucid dreaming, people who have been very experienced in it say that they're able to not necessarily control the environment totally, but they can leave the scene. Like if let's say you're in the scene working with people and like whatever doing this thing, I can't leave the scene. I can't go and do something else. I'm still part of this scene. Whereas they're able to leave the scene and kind of just leave those characters behind and do whatever they want to do outside.
Yeah.
Which they don't have control. A lot of them say they don't have control over the environment around them. Like that is just subject of the dream state. But what they're able to do is travel around and explore the area if they want, or go and do other things that is in there, which I think is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It also, I always wondered about lucid dreaming. Do they get quality sleep? Like if you're fully lucid dreaming, right? If you're there for a really long time, is your quality of sleep high?
Because you're working more, so why you're not fully resting.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you have higher brain activity, you're not in deep sleep really ever, but is it more does it take more like brain activity for that to actually occur? Is it the same? You're just more in control
does
of
lucid dreaming occur in?
Lucid dreaming just happens in REM.
Oh, REM. Okay. I just wanted to make sure it was REM. Yes, that's. Okay, so if that's your most restful sleep, if you're then using more brain activity, I don't know, but I would assume you probably don't get as good of sleep.
That's what I would think too. I can't say for sure. I can't say for sure. I mean, I could try to look it up, but I would argue that if you're using your brain more, then you're most likely not getting as good.
That just seems like a very basic if then.
Right.
Interesting.
But
you can go.
No, I also always wondered about REM, why your eyes even move, like during that phase. Like I know, like you're being, because the thing is, like when you're dreaming, you're experiencing like visual input technically, right? Like, so I mean, we're mostly like you're experiencing a lot of senses, but you get to create a picture off it. That's what we usually explain when we explain our dreams. And so like, is because there's high visuals, is it tricking our brain to move our eyes to like observe the space, and so our eyes are moving because it's the same type of thing?
Yeah.
But then I wonder, what about a blind person? I know from talking to a blind person that they don't dream in images. They don't have dreams where like they see pictures or something. They'll hear like their friends' voices and stuff like that, or
but do their eyes still move? Yeah.
Exactly. Do their eyes still move?
I always thought, and I thought I heard this. I might be making this up, but they moved to keep them moist.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's fair.
So because
like even during their everyday life, if they like hear something off to their left, would their eyes move to the left?
I don't know. Person? I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of it. I thought it was to keep your eyes moist. Which is why, like, if you wake up with like the eye crusties, it's because your eye is you're cleaning your eye. And that's what those
while you're sleeping.
Yeah, and that's what those become.
Yeah.
That's why, like, if you get something in the eye, they tell you to blink a lot because it pushes it to the middle.
So
that's my assumption.
Yeah. So it looks like that is actually something that people say. It's one of these things. Now that I was looking, it was like a brief search. It seems like it's a question people like to ask, not just the general people, like people wanting to learn about it. It's something that is not. It's not fully understood right now, but there are people that says that it has proven to improve the moisture in our eyes. So because of that, it probably is one of the driving factors, which is interesting. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Never really knew that.
Yeah, that your body's just trying to keep itself alive. So it's like, all right, we're going to rest really now, but we're going to use our eyes. We're going to be totally closed, but we're still going to use them.
Yeah. It's crazy how your brain can come up with this just absurd situation with like things that just don't go together. Mm-hmm. Like last night I had a dream where one of my college roommates came into my apartment with a group of the girls from our high school, which would never happen.
Probably not.
but the conscious part of your brain is like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, that's
this
fine.
This makes sense. I'm not awkward right now.
Yeah, it'll like place you in the scene, and then you're just like, this is fine.
Yeah.
Like, this makes sense.
I think so. I always wondered why I did that too, and I there's a guy, he referenced this one paper to me. It was called like the paper was called "Why Do We Dream?"
Yep.
And it was, I mean, it was a coolish paper. I don't know if I agreed with all the things that they concluded, but one of the things was that they said that a lot of times they put us in these situations that we're not used to or we're not expecting to try to help us understand situations that we understand the difference between reality and non-reality, so we can know the difference between like something that is real and what's not real. Like almost how we could train our brains to thinking like that's a real cat or that's not a real cat, you know what I mean? But I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I believe that. I think that what I might even more interesting is that it might prepare us for situations that are obscure, so that we're not in I guess like a fight or flight situation.
Yeah, so that we're not uncomfortable.
Exactly, because like think about that though. In that particular situation, your college friend brings a bunch of like your friends from high school to this thing. Like if that happened completely randomly, I would be like, what the heck?
Yeah,
but if like that was my dream, like had it, I'd be like,
or have you ever had like the dream where you have like an adult and then they're like their son or daughter, but they're from two very different families, but now like their son and daughter.
But your brain just knows that like they're family now, but they're like, unrelated
dude, I know
entirely.
This person from New York, this person from Maryland, like it's just like that. But like, so I don't. That's why I don't really agree with that paper, because why does that?
Does it just like flip off the logical part of your brain?
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe it's just pure creativity.
Well, yeah.
And sometimes the creativity could be for defense mechanism. Sometimes just pure, creative part. Because, like musicians and stuff, and like authors and artists, a lot of them like have pads and stuff next to their bed because then they wake up. So they wake up with a tune, they wake up with an image, or like a poem or something, and they write it down.
Yeah.
So wonder if like, depending on your individualized creative state and how like deep you go into it, maybe that impacts how. Maybe not like the more creative people always have more creative dreams, but maybe it makes it more likely to have one.
Yeah. Actually, well, that's a weird thing. Maybe you can measure somebody's creativity through their dreams. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't know how. Maybe there is a correlation.
Yeah, because then the thing is, you'd have to have them remember the dream, and we know people mostly don't remember their dreams, so it's like a difficult thing to measure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, unless you had you studied it where like a bunch of people had a dream journal next to their bed after they woke up, and you were expected to write whatever you dreamt about right after you went to sleep.
Yeah, if you were doing a sleep study with someone and you could see their brain activity, you allowed them to get into REM sleep and then woke them up in the middle and asked them about their dreams. Do you think that on average people would remember more of their dreams if that were the case?
I don't, because I think the shock of reality and
would just cause them to forget
adrenaline rush of that
of being woken up.
Yeah, because think about and I know this because like 2 weeks ago I had a terrifying dream, and I don't wake up in the middle. I woke up, my heart was pounding, I was panting, and then within 10 minutes I forgot what it was about. Like honestly, within like maybe 2 minutes,
crazy.
I forgot what it was
remember a very specific dream like that,
and I understand like the premise of it, and there was a very large figure in my condo. That's all I remember about the entire thing. But I woke up panting, and I don't really dream that much that I remember them, but this was one that was terrifying. So
that's crazy. That's so crazy to me, because there's dreams that I was scared of when I was a kid that I still remember. But then there are dreams like nowadays where like I had a dream like that was and I'm telling you, I'm not even like that emotional of a dreamer or anything like that. I'm very disconnected from it. But this one dream, I woke up in tears. I was crying. I just woke up and I was crying like crazy. And it's because my brother had died in my dream. And I've had dreams of my brothers dying or my family members dying. So I don't know why this affected me that way, but it did.
Yeah.
And I woke up, and now all I can remember is that part of the dream. I don't remember how he died. I don't remember anything about it. I just remember I woke up crying, and I remember
the emotion that came along with it.
The reality. And how you got to all you remember is how you got there. You got there, your brother died, now you're in the real world. Boom.
Yeah, exactly.
So I wonder,
if that would be the same thing in that particular experiment where you would just wake them up in the middle of this and it was very traumatic or something like that.
Yeah.
I had a dream maybe 5 or 6 months ago, earlier this year, where I was in my childhood neighborhood where we all grew up. Nice. And I was in the house, and just in general, a siren went off just in the whole world, and it was quiet at first, and then someone in my family was like, oh, we have to go now. And the siren kept getting louder and louder, and the feeling of panic in the dream just kept getting bigger and bigger. And eventually they're like, get in the car, go, we have to go now. And the siren just kept growing and growing and growing. And then I woke up fully panicked. I had no idea what was going on. Right. My heart absolutely racing. And I'm looking around my room, just where am I right now? Just completely lost in a panic. I had to get up. It's the middle of the night. I had to get up out of my bed and go to the bathroom, splash some water on my face to be okay, that didn't happen.
Wow.
Why am I reacting like this?
Why am I still there? I know it is not real.
Yeah.
Why am I still
I've already snapped out of it.
Yeah.
And then it took me a while to fall back to sleep. I was that's so weird.
Yeah.
There's so much there to even just dissect, because it's why are they so what is the purpose of them? They're so impactful at those points. Why does it hit us that way?
Evolutionarily, what is the purpose of maybe it's something like what you were saying, Ryan, where it's preparing us to encounter a situation that we're not used to, but maybe sometimes, in this case, maybe your brain just pushes it a little bit too far or something, and it, instead of just kind of stressing you a little bit, it stresses you a lot, and you do go into that fight or flight.
Yeah.
And
I'm not sure.
What you were talking about your dream and how you were still, even though you knew it wasn't real, this is something
Yeah.
I don't want to answer this, but it's a question that's in my mind, and maybe we can discuss this on another day. But if virtual reality keeps expanding, would that happen? Could it lead to those negative side effects? Because if you're in those strenuous situations, but I don't want to. I just want to say that because that was in my mind, but we don't, because I don't want to get too far off topic.
Ryan, give us
I don't-
2-minute explanation of what you're thinking
Or
of
do you
right
wanna
now.
save it?
It's really short,
Okay.
and I'm not gonna try to save it.
Yeah.
This could be something for later too. But I was just before this watching a Black Mirror episode where there was two guys, right? They were best friends in high school, or it was college or high school. Either way, they were best friends at some point. Both got married in their own relationships. Blah blah blah. Blah. They loved a game. I think it was Tekken, or it was a game like Tekken. And
Yep, I know
they
exactly
loved
the
that-
one you're talking about.
yeah, I was just watching it before this, and they loved it, whatever. And then they entered the state of the world where they allowed for virtual reality gaming, and the guys who played in the Tekken game, one of them always played as a girl, the other one always played as a guy. And when they entered this virtual reality setting, the fighting game was still there, but it was more interactive where the people could talk to each other, blah 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 blah. And they started they basically took that, and then they started a relationship. They started falling in love with one another,
Yeah. In the game.
all types of things.
Yeah.
In the game, game, and then they would leave the game, and it would be it wouldn't be anything. They're like, oh, we're back to reality.
The other was the person?
Yeah, so they were
Yeah, they
playing
knew
the
the
game
other was the
together.
person.
Okay.
And the whole premise is it made them wildly uncomfortable that this is how we feel in the game, but I don't think we feel that way outside.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch
So it was
that
I mean,
episode, and sorry.
yeah, we don't have to continue down that route
Yeah.
though.
That's
But
it.
I
I'll
will
watch
say
that
it's
episode,
interesting.
and
'Cause-
maybe we'll save that for another podcast, because that'd be cool. Because virtual reality in general is just a really
Yeah.
cool thing.
yeah.
But-
Yeah, that episode
Yeah,
gets
but
pretty wild.
I think it is. It's really interesting, just in this conversation of how virtual reality might one day emulate our dreams, or in a lot of ways might be what we consider a dream state. So who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what that'll take us to?
Fair.
I
But,
think
so,
it
I
would
mean-
be interesting. There's all of these very artsy movie directors and things and writers that if they were able to capture a video of what their dreams looked like,
It's a
then
movie maker, like my future technology.
yeah, exactly. Then they could take kind of some of the themes from those, and was that Hien?
Hey, Mr.
Yeah.
Wynn.
Nice. Love that. Take some of the themes from that and apply them to the movies. I feel like things would get really weird really fast, but also be really cool.
Right.
Yeah,
So
that
I
thing
think
is
I
dark and
kinda-
terrifying, and I hate that.
I think I have a question. Would you guys say that when you do dream and when you do remember your dreams, how different are they from reality? Would you give you could give on a, you don't know, you can give a scale 1 to 10, or you can
So-
kind of just talk it a bit.
I'll talk about all of my dreams. Most of my dreams involve other humans. Maybe because I'm older, I don't really have dreams involving monsters or anything. Even that figure, even that figure I had was a large person. I just didn't. It was more of a shadowy trench coat type cartoon guy, but it was a person.
Yeah.
So in that sense, not too far from reality. And for the most part, they're places I have seen. I might not know where it is, but I understand that
Yeah.
they're environments I'm familiar with. It might be a trail, so it's not my school or my house, but it's something I'm familiar with. So I wouldn't say it's too abstract. I'm not in space. I'm not on this celestial planet. I'm clearly on Earth.
Right.
Yeah. Number scale, I'd say mine varies pretty widely. If 1 is complete reality and 10 is just the most absurd thing, Alice in Wonderland, that you've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't get that.
I'd say mine varies from 3 to 7.5.
Wild.
Yeah.
That's pretty big,
That's
right?
very
I-
wild. I'm probably between 4, and that might be once or twice. I'm probably between 5 and 10. Maybe 5 and 8, because I think no dream can be 10. No dream can be reality.
Yeah.
No, 1 is reality.
Oh, okay, yeah, then I'm probably between like a 5 and 2.
Yeah. Okay. I guess kind of true to what you were saying, Jeremy. Like in more recent years, as I've gotten older, I've had less dreams that are kind of wild and out there.
Yeah, if it was my entire life, I would at least bump myself to a 6, because the one dream I remember vividly as a kid. We can talk about this later. That was like more out there.
Yeah.
I've definitely had Pokemon dreams before.
Oh, of course.
And like Harry Potter dreams
And
or
like
something.
recently.
I would say I actually super agree with what you were saying, Jeremy. Like I think that a lot of my dreams are between that like 2 to 5 thing, and I think
I'd say a majority of them.
Every weird thing in my dream is more about like the actual situation going on, like why is this yet even happening, or like people that I'm saying, like let's say I'll be like, oh, I'm talking to Connor, but Connor looks like Brett, but I'm still calling him Connor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
and that happens so much.
Yeah.
But it's like that kind of weirdness, not necessarily like meteors falling from the sky type weirdness.
It's weird when you come into reality. Like Alice in Wonderland stuff that you were talking about, Connor, that's just weird as a dream because that's like a different, but like calling, Brett Connor or vice versa, that is only weird in reality. So that's why it's like definitely down. Yeah,
I
but
guess
it's like
the difference between things the difference between things that shouldn't happen and things that couldn't happen.
I think that's
like I've probably had, even recently, like I've had some dreams of things that couldn't happen where like if say I'm like jumping around, one jump I'll stay in the air for like 30 seconds. Like I've had dreams like that, which is one like small thing added into like a somewhat normal situation that kind of pushes it more towards that 7 range. But yeah, I guess most of the situations are just like, similar to what Ryan's saying, like, oh, this person doesn't belong in this situation, or like my brain knows that that's not who that is, but right now Ryan is Jeremy and Jeremy is my cousin. Like something weird like that.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'd say like overall, I think that might be what most people do experience, but it's just hard to kind of like put that into words. And I really like the metric of like dreams that things that shouldn't happen and dreams that couldn't, like things that couldn't happen.
I think it simplifies a very, very complex thing.
Maybe we can start like a scientific taxonomy of dreams to like, how when you go to the doctor, they'll have at like a pediatrician, they'll have that chart that's like, how much does it hurt? Smiley face, sad face. Like,
and we'll have like your family structure, and then like I don't know what the other one would be, like demogorgons or like like your family's like a demogorgon, a pumpkin, and like you.
Do they look like this or do they?
We'll have to make a completely new scale.
We will change the world.
Okay, here's another good question. In our adult life, so I'll say since we were like 18 to now, right?
Yeah.
What is your most memorable dream from 18 to now? Like that stands out.
It's a good question.
Because I have a lot from childhood. Like
I'm
a lot
gonna be
from
honest,
childhood.
I don't know one besides the one I had 2 weeks ago, and the only reason is because that's the freshest one. I honestly don't remember one for the last 2 weeks. The last 2 or not 2 weeks. The last 7 years. I don't. I remember I remember 2 from my childhood. And I maybe if you guys talk about, but then I don't know if I'm fabricating it,
Yeah.
That's a weird thing about childhood dreams is like, I think this happened, but also like it's such a weird fuzzy brain type thing.
Like childhood memories. You remember kind of what people tell you and you kind of piece it together. Yeah. But there are 2 dreams.
But then it like becomes a real memory in your mind. Yeah. Because you think about it so much.
Now that you say that, Jeremy, I can probably only think of one dream since I was 18 and now.
I honestly can't. I can remember one, but it was 2 weeks ago. It was still in May.
Yeah, I can remember like the dream that I had last night, and then I can remember that dream that I already talked
Yeah,
about.
that's going. Yeah.
It was like maybe 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Ryan,
So
what was
maybe
yours?
that, I mean, I would say that the most memorable dream of mine was
In the last 7 years,
it was
right?
2 years.
Or last...
Yeah, I think
Okay,
it was.
yeah.
I think last 7 years. Yeah, last 7. I think it was like 2 years ago. I think, but either way, it was a dream where I was getting chased, and it just felt like I was getting chased by something that like I never actually saw.
Mm.
So it was like one of those things where it was like
Bird
constantly there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I couldn't see it. And I
Yeah.
just remember I went to so many places in the world, and I was like, I remember pretty vividly. I had my backpack on, like one of the Nationals backpacks from track.
Okay.
I had my Nationals backpack on, and I was just walking around, and I'd always get this feeling that something was behind me. And then I would go to, let's say, like, I would teleport basically to like I'm like in Africa, and I'm like walking around in Africa. Then I'd be like in the jungles of like South America, and I just remember always having like, as the dream went on, more and more pressure on me. You know what I mean? And then it was like it would emulate real life too, where I'd be like in my like lab or in my or like by my computer just typing up code, and I would just have this feeling around me, and then I'd be like, I'd immediately get up, and then I'd appear like in Asia. You know what I mean? And I remember that one so vividly because I was just in so many different places.
Yeah.
And it was just like the pressure got stronger and stronger and stronger. But that's the only one that I could think of.
I wonder if you remember less as an adult because you have more interaction with reality and more of you're creating your own experiences with reality. So there's less imagination. Not that less imagination. Actually, I would say there's less imagination than as a kid when it comes to dream type imagination.
Yeah.
So maybe because you have real memories and experiences, it reduces the amount you dream.
Like you're more of a leader in your own life than a follower.
And there's also more knowns. You know, a lot of kids are scared of the dark. When you get older, you realize there are more knowns. There are less likely to be monsters in the dark. Less likely to be a snake under your bed in your suburban house. You know.
No, that's really good too because you think about it, right? Like when you're a kid, you don't really get to do much. Like your day, the highlight of your day as a kid is like that you got to like play with your toys, like a certain toy.
You
know
get
what
to
I
go
mean?
to school,
or like,
but you're very
or you went out.
there, you know.
Yeah, and you went out. Maybe you went outside and you like I don't know, maybe like you like learned a new skill. Like you like were able to like dribble a ball really well. Like maybe that's the highlight of your day. You know what I mean? And like that's it. And then you go to bed, and then now you start dreaming, and obviously that's like
all these crazy things are happening. Yeah.
And so now it's like those actually now your dreams as a child might like help you develop as a character. You know what I mean? Like, because those are defining memories of your childhood. Like, I think I remember like 10 or like 20 dreams from when I was a kid, and like I remember like one in the past 7 years. So it's like
I wouldn't.
I remember like one scary dream from when I was a kid.
Weirdly, I had this one dream. I had this dream as a kid where I was like, there's this like weird magician dude that was like he would dance like this. He was like hopping around, you know, and then he like. He took everything in the room and would turn it into a toy. And I was like, this dude is awesome. So I got like really hyped. But then he stole my sock. And then he turned my sock into a toy. And then I only had one sock.
What is a sock?
No.
Turned it into like a different toy.
A different toy. Like it was like turning it into Power Rangers or something like that.
Or like a truck or something.
Yeah, he turned my sock into something. And then I got really sad because I only had one sock. And I was like, dang,
sounds like a young Ryan thing.
Yeah. But I mean, like dreams like that is like, why do I remember that? Like,
yeah, I know. I have. How about let's like go around and each like say a dream or two that we've had, and then maybe like some final thoughts. I think this is a really good discussion.
Yeah.
But like this way, we're ending on like what we remember because dreams. Again, we talked about. We don't remember a lot. I'm gonna say both of mine just back to back, just so it's. I mean, I can say one or two.
Go back to back. Just go back to back.
So, the most vivid one I have was below the elementary school we went to. Me and Connor went to. You did not, Ryan. The lower soccer field. It was surrounded by really tall like jungle trees. And the whole bottom was like a lake covered in like moss. And I had a Digimon. You know those things that like you pull and then it shoots in the air? Like that video of the Barbie girl and she goes in the fire? I had one of those, but I could also like remote control it kind of. So I did that and it went and got stuck up in the tree. So I climbed the tree and there were these big floating like moss things that like kind of moved. And so I would jump on them to get that toy. But as I would go across it, they would start falling, and like not really falling, like they would disintegrate, and because it was
Yeah.
like moss and water combined, and so I was running across them, and I finally jumped, and I didn't get my toy, and I was falling. A killer whale jumped and ate me.
Oh
Dang.
no.
Yeah, so that was the first one. That one was terrifying.
That's wild. At Taft.
Yeah.
That's fun.
And it's funny because I remember like it being at the lower part.
Yeah.
Classic elementary school, just having killer whales, on the playground. But
Yeah.
then my second dream,
Definitely dangerous.
yeah, my second dream, and this is where I don't know as a kid if this was, I don't think it was lucid dreaming because I wouldn't want to control this, but it felt real though, I was at my best friend's house. He moved away in second grade, so this was before second grade, somewhere in that time, and I was there, and we were playing outside, and there was this big tree, and there was like little like shrubs around it, and I was running to get a ball, and when I went to get the ball out of the shrub, I got like pulled in by a monster, and every time I would yell, it would dramatically get quieter and quieter as I get like sucked down really slowly, and I saw him and his brother running around, and then they went inside, and I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, but nothing's coming out.
Yep, I've had that dream.
Yeah,
it's terrible. And it's so crazy how like the kind of traumatic ones are the ones that you remember.
Yeah, why can't I remember?
Because like the ones that I'm going to talk about are like kind of traumatic too. Yeah.
The two that I'll say are, the first one is the one that was, I had this dream 7 or 8 times as a kid in like a span of 2 weeks. It was just kept happening, but it was so there was like King Connor's old dream. There was an alarm going off, but it was for this really fat cheetah that was going around the world. And it was like a fat cheetah that was like the size of like a continent that was like eating everybody. Like I was eating everybody. And the first time I had it, I was terrified, but it was eating everybody around the world. And so the siren went off in the United States, and it was like, they just ate China. We report they just ate China. And I was like, no.
Note he had this dream many times.
Yeah. So I freaked out. And then then the next phase of the dream is like, it's eating all the rest of the people in the world. And we hop on a boat. Okay, so now we're on a boat, and we're riding this boat somewhere.
And cheetahs can't swim.
Yeah, that was actually our thing, is that we said the cheetah can't swim. We know that, and so like it'll eat the land, and it's just gonna jump over.
But it can't swim.
But then anyway, so then in the water there was a kraken that grabbed our ship and started destroying our ship. And I was like with my family, and we were grabbed by grabbed by an arm or whatever.
Yeah.
And my little sister, she had bubble gum on her, and she threw the bubble gum in his mouth, and then he let us all go. So I was like, let's go. So then we got back. Then we ended up in Europe. And this is where the dream ends. But they announced on the loudspeaker that they got the United States, and they're going, and he's heading to Europe. And you see like that the cheetah, like that didn't know how to swim, was able to walk through the water, like because it was that big. And so we saw it like on the horizon of Europe, and then the dream ends.
Yeah, it's not.
And that was
it's a cheetah.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah,
You're gonna have to wait for the sequel.
But it never happened because I had the same dream. Like
maybe that's Ryan's new why he likes France, because Europe was his last safe spot.
Did it always end at the same point?
Always ended at the same point.
Dang.
The only thing that changed is after that, I always asked Larissa in the dream. I was like, Larissa, do you have the bubble gum on you? I always ask that.
Do you have the
Yeah. But then, then the second dream's a lot shorter. The second dream I did only have once, but it stays with me for the reason at the end I'll say is that like, so I was told by like this weird genie in the beginning that I was like, he's like, don't forget, you got to save those people from the burning building later. And I was like, all right, I got to do it. And then I transport into this burning, building, and then I tell everyone to leave, and nobody's leaving. Like nobody's leaving, and I was like, leave, go on, leave, everybody leave.
People don't like listening to you in your dreams, yeah.
But the building was on fire, and I was like, you can see it's on fire, but then it burns down, and I end up being the only person who dies. But then, and everyone else somehow lived, and I remember looking at the perspective of other people, and they're like, wow, he was such a good guy. And then and then it transferred to me, and I was just, like that fall state in dreaming where you're just like constantly falling, you know what I mean? It's like I had that feeling, and I just kept falling and falling and falling and falling and falling until I woke up. and that was it.
And now you're here.
Dang. I'd say both of those are pretty close to a 7, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was like. I was
A big cheetah eating a whole continent.
And then a kraken. And then the bubble gum stops a kraken.
Yeah, that part makes sense. Yeah. So I do have 2 dreams, but first I'm going to say a thought that I had a while ago. Is there any time that you guys can think of that you've used your phone in a dream?
Yes.
Because is there? I've never, like, I've talked to Camille about this, and she for a while said no, and eventually one night she was like, I just had a dream, I had my phone in it. I was like,
I'm
theory's ruined.
I don't want to dive down this path too much that I'm about to bring up.
Sure.
But I will say that you just reminded me of a dream that I did have in the past 7 years, where I was sleeping and I had my arm on here, and there was somebody laying on my arm, and then I didn't remember that I was asleep, but I had in the dream, it was so short. I was just in my dorm room, and I get up out of my bed and I look at my phone, and then the whole left side of my body becomes numb, and then I fall to the ground, and then I completely die. Then I woke up.
You completely die?
Yeah.
You just die?
And then, it was like I had a stroke or something. But then
That's wild.
I wake up and I can't move. I'm in sleep paralysis. So I wake up and I'm in sleep. I can't scream. I can't do anything. I literally am just stuck there. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. And then eventually, like, I broke out of it and I sat up screaming. And the person that was laying next to me was just like so confused. They're like, Ryan,
what's going on here, bro?
Yeah. And I tried to explain it to them. I didn't understand how scary it was. To me, I was like, I thought I was gonna die.
Question: was your arm numb in real life, being under them?
Yes, it was. It was real. It was numb in real life.
So I wonder if that maybe your body was telling you.
True.
I think it was.
We need circulation.
Yeah, I think it was telling me that. And then it was like, it obviously exaggerated it by making like my whole half of my body numb.
And you fully die.
Yeah.
Yeah. I fully died. I remember.
You're like, Ryan, you're dead. And your brain knows that it's dead too. That's the weird thing.
That's crazy. All right, Connor, hit me with yours.
So recurring dream that I had when I was a kid, I was at my grandparents' house. And it was a similar type of thing to the one that Jeremy was talking about, where I would be by the stairs of their house, and under their stairs, they lived in like a bi-level house, and I would be at the top of the second set of stairs, and something would start dragging me down the stairs, but I couldn't see what it was. And obviously, it's one of these dreams where you can't scream or like say anything. So like, yeah, I'd be trying to yell, but like a little bit would come out and then less and then less. And then eventually there's like a closet at the bottom of the second set of stairs. And like, that's where the dream ends. Like it drags you all the way to the bottom. People are just like, we're having like a family party or something upstairs. Like people are talking, chatting. So like no one notices.
Yep.
And then just dream cuts off right at the end.
Dang.
So I feel like I had that dream a handful of times when I was younger, and like that's always stuck with me. Like I always remember that one. And then while you were talking, I thought of this second kind of type of dream. I've had a couple variations of it that, like in recent years also. My family will we'll like rent a beach house every summer in North Carolina, and like our whole extended family is there. We're all hanging out, having a great time. So the dream will start, and it's like a really nice beach day. Everyone's like out at the beach, chilling in the waves. The waves somehow are just like super massive, but everyone's having a good time. No one gets hurt. And then towards the end of the day, we'll go back up to the house, and then the waves will continue to get closer to the house and closer and closer and closer until eventually the entire house starts flooding, and water is like coming into the house, and we have to go up and up to the upper floors, and then those are flooding, and it just continues until eventually the dream ends.
It's
wow.
It's funny because one of those is a couldn't and one of those is a shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
You know,
Yeah.
like the first one's
Yeah.
couldn't, and the second one, I mean, hopefully it's a couldn't, but it is a shouldn't. Like it, like you
But
know,
the way that it
Technically
happens,
could happen, but it shouldn't.
the way
happen,
that
yeah.
would happen.
I
probably
think
wouldn't.
the way that it happens couldn't happen because just like the water is flowing in all sorts of weird ways, like it's flowing upstairs and things like that.
Yeah.
All types of things that like shouldn't or couldn't happen are happening, but it's just like this weird situation that you're just like unfamiliar with in this place that you are like the most comfortable.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
but every time it's like it's not the actual house that we are in when we go to the beach. Like we get the same house every year. So it's not that house. It's like a different one every time. But I like know that it's the same house in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It
Because
is
your
crazy.
brain can do that. Yeah.
I think you know, to cap things off here, I feel like it's interesting to see that there's a lot of common themes throughout dreams, and we all experience a lot of the same emotions in our dreams. And you know, as we continue to dream, I mean, I think it's important for us to identify like what those emotions are because it might reflect our everyday life. You know.
Yeah.
And the ones that like really stress you and are activating that fight or flight kind of action, those are the ones that you're going to remember the most, because if it's not significant and it doesn't kind of make an impact on your mind, you're not going to remember it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. To wrap it up, I brought this up a few weeks ago to you guys. I want to do the kick. So we're going to end every episode with what we're going to call the kick. And everyone's going to have 10 seconds. We're going to make it really short. You can talk about anything you want for 10 seconds. I'm going to go first.
Ooh, I feel like I need a prompt.
I'm going to give you guys, well, you can talk about anything. I'm going to go first. Hopefully it doesn't distract you, so you don't have to listen. You can take your headphones out. So, welcome. If you don't know, running, the kick is the finish. You got to finish hard, all right? So, on June 27th, I am filming, not filming, I guess I'm filming, but I'm streaming my wedding live on my Twitch channel, which is down below. It is 34 days from when this airs, so please go check it out if you want some good news during this crazy time. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
Go for it.
You know, like we said in the very beginning, please download College Versus below. It's a new social media app to promote your college and compete against other colleges around the world. It's really cool. You can compete. Check it out.
And it's free on both Android and Apple.
All right. I have nothing to promote, but I watched a Netflix documentary recently about psychedelics, and I just think it's kind of weird how in dreaming, your brain can make you think that you're in a situation, and the same kind of thing happens on psychedelics, I guess. And yeah, you just believe that you're in a certain situation that you're not, or like you have a feeling that something is like there's a train nearby, but you don't see the train. I don't know, just like.
Yeah,
I'm like listening to these people talk. That was a little over 10 seconds, but I wanted to say that while we were talking, but there was no good time for it. And I'm not promoting anything right now. So
yeah, no, and that was my thought. I was like, it was like 10 minutes, and I was like, you know what, let's do the kick. I brought it up a few weeks ago, and let's just.
Kind of funny to watch people like frantically try and get out their idea.
That's the thing. Like, I'm probably not going to talk about I might do the wedding for the next few weeks, obviously, just because it's really important to me. It's a wedding day.
Gotta hype it up.
I'm not even going to think about it. I'm just going to do whatever pops in my mind. Boom, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So I think that is a great way to wrap up dreams. We had some few things that we could save for future videos. I think we had some good discussions. Yeah. If you guys are willing, drop your scariest. I'm assuming most memorable dreams is scariest dream, but drop it down below. But again, guys, we are out. Another week in the books.
Bye.
Make sure you tune in again next Sunday at noon here on the Long Run YouTube. Peace.
See you guys.